Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a Thursday morning edition of the Moose Minute Project. So, my question entitled, Are we still in middle school? I saw a teacher of mine post something yesterday, and it was a valid post about the name changes that President-elect Trump is after and those kind of things that he's looking at. And he got absolutely blasted for it, calling him anywhere from libtard to whatever it may be, just name calling galore, and how hateful the liberals are, and how despising, just absolutely crude comments, and how, Biden's doing this, and he waived the whole thing with Hunter and did that with the pardon. And what's the difference? Why would anybody be upset? And he, took care of the people with life sentences. Well, he didn't do anything that I've seen except for they're still going to serve their life sentence. They're just not on death row. So he didn't release them from jail. Unfortunately, like Trump is talking about, just totally expunging all charges against the January 6th people that were convicted. Where I'm going with this isn't right or left. It is the maturity level of the people that are involved and the educational level of those that are involved. I think we tend to, once somebody makes a statement, it automatically triggers their brain to say, oh, they're from the right or they're from the left, and that means they're freaking stupid. When actuality, if you sat back and looked at what's going on, this is what government wants us to do. Because you're stronger in numbers, weaker if you're divided. And we are the most divided country right now we've ever been. In my mind. This is me again. This is just my page. But I think we are the most divided country we have ever been. From when I remember. I'm 50 years old. And maybe, back when it was Vietnam and stuff like that, there was probably more division to a certain extent, especially how the soldiers got treated when they came home after just doing what they were supposed to do. That's the other things I look at is how do we treat others? And why I wasn't aware of Vietnam at the time because I wasn't around, or if I was very young. But how do we go about the divisions we have, especially against law enforcement, against military, against the political parties, and why are we? Because that is what we are being trained to do. Similar to why we took down all the statutes. All the statues, and we don't talk about the slavery problems. We don't talk about the injustice or inequalities of color, privileges. Let's face it, white privilege is there. Especially if you're rich, especially if you're a male, and especially if you're white. Let's face it, it's there. I've been watching a few clips of studies being done of tattooed black men and watching how they get treated differently. And you can say, oh, Chris, that's just staged. I don't believe so. I still think that racism is still a very big thing. And unfortunately, we are seeing more and more that, and we are also seeing more and more less tolerance for caring, for rehabilitation, whatever it may be, especially with the drug world. Because we are just being told that mind your own business, care less, and move on. And we have seen them from time and time through history. I think the Vietnam War, when the vets came back, was the start of a lot of it. When the government, I've seen so many vets that don't even want to talk about it, and yet we voted in a draft dodger for a president. And we, the United States, have an election process that is fair. And it's surprising nobody said, oh, it's a fake election this time or whatever it may be, because the candidate the majority wanted won. And yet, if anybody criticizes him for what he says or what he does, they are put on a list of ignorant, uneducated dumbasses. Trust me, I've read enough and looked into enough stuff to go, this shit is not going to go well. Okay? So when can we get back to our strengths of caring for those around us, for caring for the people that we see that are struggling, for people with mental health issues, people with drug issues? I get tired, I guess, of seeing all of the bail jumping and all of that, because we aren't setting bails that are realistic. Let's face it, if I get pulled over, I think just now I saw that drunk driver that had that accident on 14 that severely injured that girl, just got sentenced to 6 months and probation or whatever for 5 years for driving drunk. Where is the deterrent for going out drinking and driving and hurting somebody that's going to have to face permanent damages? Where is that justice? Is it because our jails are full, our prisons are full, and there's no money to build new ones? We can't staff the ones we have? I don't know. But I do know that if you're arrested for a drug issue and you're sentenced to $500 bail, whoop-de dipshit. People can throw away $500 in a heartbeat. Shit, a lot of people spend $100 a night on Friday and $100 on Saturday just to do what they do. We have to start looking at more severe consequences for, like I said, 6 months that guy got for DWI that caused that major action on 14 and permanently hurt her, and he gets 6 months of jail time. That's asinine. He needs more jail time. I'm sorry if it was his first. I don't care. That's the only way we'll deter it. If you look at other nations, Germany, for example, or anywhere else, with their punishments for the things we do here, and I know everybody be waving their oh, that's not fair, it's not fair. Who cares? Okay? Stealing, it's just all petty shit anymore that we don't have consequences for. However, there are more consequences by people when they have their political view, because you are name called and whatever else, and people then just part ways. It's a lot easier that way. And when do we start holding people accountable for their actions? I was always told, when you go to places, especially like bowling tournaments, if I go to a bowling tournament, I'm from Richland Center, okay? It doesn't matter if they know that or not. If somebody there will know where I'm from, and if you throw your tantrum, or you throw your fists around, whatever it may be, or you slam shit, or you swear a lot, whatever it may be, they relate it back to the house that you're normally bowling in. That's just how it works. And so I'm always representing Richland Center when I go somewhere, because I like the house I'm at, but they also just correlate it with the bowling alley that you're at. No matter if you wanted to or not. So your behavior, wherever you go, needs to be stepped up. It needs to be, and it's no different in human life. No matter where you go, you are correlated back to that. But it's also then correlated back to, my dad and mom. And it's correlated back to that. It's just like if my kids' behaviors were out of control, it comes back on me and my ex-wife or my current wife as a stepmom. And you get asked, hey, what's going on with your kid? That's why when I get told, oh, I met your son the other night. Yep, most likely you did, and most likely you're doing something wrong. Because my son does not have a gray area. He's very black and white. It's very straightforward, and he's very he's in a very moving head, wants to do his job to the letter, to the T. And yep, you probably did meet him. But I also get way more comments of, that's pretty impressive of your kid. Your kid's doing a great job. Every parent wants to hear that. But I feel we're getting to the point of, with social media, people with a recorder in their phone pocket or a camera all the time that can go live at any time or post anything at any time with no consequences. We're to this point in life where you can disrespect people nonstop from your couch. Where the old days where if you wanted to have a beef somebody or you had a beef with someone, you had to go approach them. I watched a clip the other day with Steve Harvey, and it was funny because a lady was talking about the 13-year-old girl that, cocks off and tells her parents, meet me outside, what you gonna do? Well, if I'd have said that to my mom, I wouldn't have had to wait to meet outside or bite me, whatever. That was always a big saying too, bite me. If I'd have said that to my mom, I'd have been eating her fist first or the back of her hand. And I don't see a lot of that anymore because everybody is scared per se of child abuse, whatever it may be, you're going to get turned in on. Teachers, back when we were in high school, had no problem laying down the law. And I think a lot of that is a problem today. I had no problem spanking my kid or kids. And then it wasn't a beat, okay? There weren't multiple beats. It was just a good butt whoop if it was going to be serious, and we needed to get back to that. Not that I'm saying to abuse your kids, because I know there's enough of that going on. But teachers need to start having the ability to hold kids accountable. We need to stop just arresting multiple offenders and giving them $500 bail so they can jump it, and then somebody else has to rearrest them, and they rearrest and rearrest. That's asinine. We are wasting far more funds on that. Parents need to start standing, and it didn't happen. We had kids getting away with all the time. They were able to pick on kids, bully kids, whatever it means. Parents need to step in. Like back when I was little, there was no problems with the neighborhood parent disciplining me either. My mom would give them full authority. If they saw me doing something wrong, they were allowed to do that. Maybe I'm old school. I don't know. But I think it's just stuff that I'm seeing now that is so frustrating to watch people sit on their computer or sit on their phone and absolutely disrespect people online without having to get off their couch to do it. And without having to say anything, there's no consequence to it except you're an asshole and I block you or delete you off Facebook, which I have done. I've deleted a few that I don't need in my life, nor do I need to see them in their comments because they are so disrespectful. That's where I am this morning. It's just, I had a rough night last night, missing mom and just a lot of things going on. But then I saw those comments towards a teacher of mine that I have utmost respect for. Do I agree with everything he says? No, but I'm not going to disrespect them in a manner of calling them dumb or not. They're all educated. They're all well educated. Most of the people making comments were not known for their education. And they say things in such a dumb manner that nobody's going to listen to them anyway. It's just frustrating. So all I can say is do your best every day. Take time to bless somebody during the day if you can, and go from there. But sunny today, gonna cloud up later, I hear. You know, I asked Mom just to keep watching over me every day and making sure she's pointing me in the right direction, as she did all the years she was here. And yeah, they say losing a parent is one of the hardest things to go through. There's no doubt about it. It is absolutely catastrophic. Glad I got my dad. You know, I'm very fortunate there. But my mom and I were extremely close, and it was very tough for me. So, with that said, have a great day. Bowling tonight, so there's a highlight there. And I'll be back at the lanes tonight bowling. But yeah, and getting ready for February, for that first week in February, going to a fishing trip up north with a bunch of guys, and that'll be fun. It'll be a good time to get away and possibly do Moose Minute project from a remote space up in Upper Red Lake if there's internet. Who knows what happens when you're out on the ice. We'll be a ways out, I'm sure, by then. But have a great day. Take time to bless somebody, and I'll be back tomorrow morning with the Moose Minute project.